They want credit for your come up. That's why they're trying to discredit you. They want the credit for where God is taking you. They want to feel important for the blessings that's unfolding in your life, but this has nothing to do with them. This is all God. That's why they mad. That's why they trying to talk down on you, and that is why they trying to hold stuff over your head. It's because the lies didn't stick. They tried to plot and go against you. They tried to make you look bad. They try to make you feel bad. They mad because they cannot take the credit for what God is doing for you in your life, and that's what it is. Stop playing in your head thinking it was something you did. You didn't do anything wrong. All you did was show up blessed. Stop feeling bad for them not liking you. You ain't do nothing wrong. All you did was show up with the anointing. Stop letting everybody make you feel bad because you learning to be seated at tables and eat by yourself. They can't take the credit for what God is doing for you in your life, and that's why they mad. They want to tell people so bad that you are where you at because of them, but that's not so. That was all God. That was all God. That anointing, their blessings in this season, they cannot take the credit for what God is doing in your life. And that's why they are mad at that. They feel as though you would have never got to where you are if it hadn't been for them. Come on now. Make it make sense. They want to feel so important in your life. They're mad because they don't have that power over you. They don't have that control over you. They're not able to manipulate you. They're not able to hold stuff over your head. It's not working because you done took your power back. And the devil mad. You're learning to see people for who they really are. You ain't going back and forth. You ain't bickering. You ain't getting on their level. You ain't trying to make them look bad, but you just living life and being blessed. They mad because you in your lane minding your business and you're not bothered. They saying these things that don't make no sense. They saying these things that you know are lies, but you still choose to love them from a distance. You still choose to clap for them, even though you know the real them. They mad because you're not shouting them out like how they anticipated. They thought that if they could, talk bad about you, that maybe you would bring up their name in a conversation, that maybe you would mention them, that maybe you would, speak bad on their name. But you realize that what God is doing for you, nobody can interrupt your peace. Nobody can get in between you and your blessings. You've experienced peace and you ain't never going back and forth with somebody that's irrelevant. You ain't never going back and forth with somebody who ain't putting food on your table. You ain't never going back and forth with somebody that cannot add on to your life. You ain't never going back and forth. They want attention out of you so bad, but you're not giving it to them. You're learning to sit in silence. You're learning to be seated. And you're just not bothered by the naysayers. That's beyond you. That's past you. You're not giving them your time. You're not giving them your energy. But you're learning, man, life is good. From where you are, you're learning, man, wow. Now I see why God didn't want me to accept help from them. Now I see why God didn't want me to be associated with them. You're learning. Now you are learning. And now you see why the Lord was telling you, don't ask them for nothing else. Now you see why the Lord was telling you, don't beg them for nothing else. Now you see why the Lord was telling you, you don't need them. Now you see why God was telling you to cut them off and be done with them. Now you see why the Lord was telling you to distance yourself from the crowd. Because God was doing his big one in this season, and he didn't want not a nail one of them to take the credit for what he was doing in your life. And so while they mad, you still blessed. While they bitter, you still blessed. While they hating, you still blessed. Moral of the story is you're still blessed. So I love you. Take this word back to God in prayer. And God love you way more. Be blessed. Bye, y'all.